Hello and welcome to another video on this channel. Today I'm going to show some niche mechanics with all the weapons, and I'm just going to go in order, and that's why I'm starting with the yo-yo. And yeah, as a secondary weapon I'm going to be always using the pistol or the shotgun. Yeah, because a lot of the mechanics include weapon swapping, and some weapons aren't that great with swapping, or just they don't really work with it. So yeah, in this case I'm just using the pistol because it's like one of the best weapons for that, with SMG and shotgun, I think, and bomber, of course. But we'll get to that. And yeah, so the yo-yo doesn't has like a crazy tech or something that is like that you should 100% know. This is more like just yeah, really niche stuff. Yeah, by the way, okay, so the first thing you can do is you can just throw your ult at the ground, and then it's going to start targeting the enemies. You then don't have as much control on like which enemies it targets, but it just gets the ult going. Yeah, which doesn't happen if you, for example, like shoot it too far away or just miss the enemies in general. So yeah, that like actually really helps with getting the ult going. So yeah. And then also something that is kind of interesting. Basically, if you weapon swap really fast, you can make it so that you have like you have basically 2 to 3 yo-yos, and sometimes like even 4. So you are like actually not limited to your amount of yo-yos. You can relatively easily get even more. By the way, how you do this is you just hold your fire button and then spam the weapon swap key. Let me quickly activate slow-mo. So I'm just going to really quickly spam the weapon swap key. And yeah, that is actually quite effective. And yeah, just something nice to know. Yeah, you can also hold this, and then also like sometimes it works with the ult, but yeah, so as you can see I have 2 right now, but it just isn't as effective as the weapon swapping. So yeah. That's it with the yo-yo. Now let's move on to the sniper. And the sniper also doesn't have like a crazy tag. But something that I think is really nice to know. So basically, if you scope and then shoot the soul bullet, and then relatively quickly let go of the scope, you're going to also do your not scope. So you're also going to do your main fire. So your ult and main fire are going to be done at the same time, which gives you backwards momentum, which can be quite nice if the enemies are chasing you and you just want to get rid of them. The good thing is this also targets close range enemies. Yeah. And by the way, this is really easy to execute. Let me also show it in slow-mo. So you scope and you shoot and just very quickly unscope. This is actually a quite impactful tech, I would say. But yeah, it's just nice to know. And it can make yeah, especially if you're like mainly dealing damage with a sniper, yeah, it can be very comfortable. Because you're knocking close enemies away and you're killing the targets that are far away. Yeah, and that's like basically it with the sniper. Then also that you can, yeah, just that your main fire also does have like a really big range. and you can stall your momentum. Like, you can basically fly with the sniper. And like, wouldn't say there's like crazy tech to this. Maybe just so you know, you have quite a bit of air control. Yeah, if you didn't know. Okay, moving on. We have the frog, also called wait a minute, new best friend. Like, basically everyone calls him just Frog. And this guy has two things that I'm aware of. And so basically, what I think is quite interesting is that your particles at the ground deal damage. It's a lot less than your projectile. Like, it's going to be quite a bit less than your projectile damage overall. But it can be quite nice to lure enemies into them, or like bait enemies into them. So to just get a little bit of extra damage, and you can like also walk over it. I didn't knew that. Maybe you knew that, but I think this is actually like quite nice to know. It doesn't change a whole lot, but it can be quite nice if you also want to like abuse it for movement, so to speak. So yeah. By the way, if you didn't even knew that, you can get a speed boost if you walk on the frog's puddles. And the second thing is also like quite obvious, but it's just being able to really spread your ult, to just like get it on a lot of targets, so that you just have additional AoE, additional freeze. It's just quite nice. And also keep in mind that you're shooting quite a lot of acid bullets, so this can be really done in a very like a wide area. Okay. Yeah, moving on, we have the lightning staff. And yeah, the lightning staff doesn't really have anything that makes him like, that has like crazy tech or something. Just something that is good to know is that the lightning staff is going to, if you tap it, then it's going to shoot a bullet that has like on impact damage, and you have the lightning that comes down. So to a single target, you're going to deal multiple damage like instances if you just click it, because you're going to get additional damage instances from the bullet. So it can actually be quite effective if you like spam click with it, but not too fast, because then it's going to turn into the consistent lightning. But if you just spam click it, then you can really easily deal with especially the smaller targets, or like singled out smaller targets. Then you like don't have to kill him and then swap. It's just also using your ammo more effectively is the thing. Yeah, but this is not that impactful. It's just also a nice thing to know. And then yeah, what I also discovered is, by the way, if you hold your Alt button and then try to shoot, it doesn't work. But the cool thing on the lightning staff is, like I'm doing it right now, you have this little a lightning animation, which, for example, on the pistol isn't really the case. If I hold Alt and then try to shoot, then nothing happens. So yeah, that's just also a cool thing I noticed. Yeah, moving on, we have the pistol. I'm going to quickly equip the pistol and the shotgun, then I don't have to yeah, go back to the weapon room. Yeah, so the pistol also doesn't really have any like really cool tags. What I would say is quite impactful is the weapon swap tag. that you can do, for example, with the shotgun or bomber. And so this is like also hold the shoot button and just spam the weapon swap key. And this is a really nice thing to know. Because the thing is, this also works if you basically have no ammo. So because this is going to deplete your ammo slowly, but even if you have like 0 ammo left, you're going to be able to, like, every 2 weapon swaps still shoot out a bullet with the pistol. And yeah, that's quite nice. And there's also the spreading of the ult for extra AoE damage. This works even better than with the frog, because you just, like, the pistol ult does so much damage that you, like, mostly instantly kill the targets, which is really nice. So it's just really, this is something you should, like, actually be doing 80% of the time, is spreading your ult, so that you get as much AoE from it as possible. Yeah, moving on, we have the shotgun. The shotgun also doesn't really have attack besides the weapon swap thingy, which is very effective actually on the shotgun, because you're going to basically get additional shots even if you have like an empty magazine. Yeah, but it's not happening as often as the pistol, because the shotgun has just less ammo. This is what I'm thinking. Also, something that I think is quite important to know is understanding how the ult works. So, either you shoot it like directly at the enemies, or you shoot it above them, and then it's basically going to be flying back towards you. And so if enemies are chasing you, it's most likely going to hit them. Yeah, which is just also a good thing to know, is that you can do that, because then it's also like it feels like it has more AoE, so to speak. Yeah, but also just something to note. And then something you can also do is basically you can really, like, you can do a quick, sorry, I'm losing my words. You can shoot 2 times in a row relatively quickly if you input an ult between the 2 shots. Yeah, that's faster, I think, than just normally shooting. Or it isn't, I don't know. But if, like, executed right, I think it's faster, but not by much. It can be, like, quite a weird window to do it. Yeah, because, like, you can't do it too early. It just cancels the going up animation, so you just have more damage up all the time. Wait, let's quickly do it in slow-mo. So you shoot, ult, and shoot. This is actually works really well in slow-mo, I feel like. Yeah, moving on. We have the SMG. The SMG also doesn't really have attack. But something I will say is that the ult works really well with Polish wax. Yeah, like it's not as broken as the lightning staff, but basically Polish wax is going to apply to all the hits that the ult does, which is quite good, especially if you can get freeze. Yeah, it's mostly not going to be as crazy as the lightning staff, but it's really good still. And yeah, then for the like, we also have the weapon swap thingy, which also works quite nicely on the SMG. And then also something I noticed is that the shots, if they hit a wall, have actually a relatively big AoE. So just make sure that you're like, if I'm standing here on the ground, I said on the ground, and like the projectile still like hits the enemies quite far away, is the thing. So like they can stand behind me and the projectile still hits them. So what this means is that you basically can aim at the foots of the enemies and still hit them. This is like also not a really impactful tag because you can just also just normally aim. Yeah. Also just a nice, not even nice, just a thing to know. Yeah, I don't know. Moving on, we have the katana. Yeah, this is like also the katana doesn't really have like a game breaking tech or something that like actually helps its combat. As something that I think is quite nice to know is that you can really like the sword dash is really generous when it comes to that also looked quite weird, I will say. But yeah, it's like quite generous, so you can really go or like fly past the sword if you put it on like the edge of something. You can like very generously fly past it, and especially if you hit like those corners, you can get just also some very weird momentum or like in weird directions, but it's funny to play around with. Yeah, and there's like also the thing with the jump pad. So basically if you make it so that you sword dash over the jump pad, the momentum it gives you a really good upwards momentum. Yeah, but this is like also not really anything that you would actively use in usual combat, so yeah. It's just funny. And something that works is if you throw your ult and then weapon swap back to the katana, you can actually have two katanas. So you have one flying back to you, and yeah, it's also just something that's nice to know. But essentially what you can do with this is just, if you throw your ult, get your katana like already out again. So you throw it, you deal damage, you swap back. Sorry, let me do it in slow-mo. You throw out your katana, weapon swap 2 times, let go of the katana, then you can already start attacking, which is a little bit earlier than if you would just instantly let it go, because you like also get the stick damage that the katana then does. So yeah, just something that is nice to know. And what you can like also do is weapon swap. Sorry. Then the ult is already going to be charging again, so you can just use it more frequently. Yeah, that's it for the katana. Then we have fan. And fan is probably like one of the... Yeah, like... Fan doesn't have really any cool tags. Something that is just maybe nice to know is that if you jump and shoot, then you're going to have this glide, which is quite helpful, I guess. And then you can get quite a bit of upwards momentum if you shoot the bubbles at your feet and then, yeah, just suck them. And something that I think is also like interesting is if you have like something that moves, you can suck it below you and then really stall your momentum in the air. Yeah, there are not that many variants on which this works, but now you know that you can store your momentum even longer with the fan, I guess. Yeah. Moving on, we have the bomber. And the bomber also doesn't really have like any crazy tech. It's mainly just that you can like weapon swap with it to get a little bit more ammo, or like extend your ammo basically, and just increase your attack speed by quite a bit. So like this is nearly a max attack speed that you would have with only stats on the bomber. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, to be honest. And yeah, something maybe also that I think is really cool is if you walk over an enemy and shoot it below you, you're going to get like this upwards jump. By the way, I'm not pressing the jump key. I'm just shooting enemies. And yeah, this you can like actually bunny hop with this. It's quite funny. I don't even know how or like why this works, but it just it's actually quite effective in a lot of cases, to be honest. So this is something that it's just also really good to know and makes playing the weapon, especially on like closer ranges against enemies that chase you, makes it a lot more comfortable. Yeah, this will not work on like taller enemies, but it works really well on crawlers. And also something that I can show you with Fan and Bomber is that you can, if you didn't know, but you can suck Bomber bullets to also give you like upwards momentum. Which, yeah, you can get a decent amount of momentum with it. So yeah, it works. Let's swap back to the pistol. Moving on to the nail gun. Yeah, the nail gun is probably like, it's even worse than Fan, I think. Yeah, but what I think is niche about the nail gun, or like a niche mechanic, is that at some point you're going to reach your max nail cap, so to speak. And then what's going to happen is that the nails are going to proc an alt explosion. So if you would just basically press the alt, the nails are going to, see that it's like the alt explosion that's going to happen then, and that like shows you that you can't shoot out more nails. Basically, this is like the max amount of nails you have, and this is a really good indicator that you should press the alt button. Yeah, that's everything on the nail gun. You can't really weapon swap with it, like it works. I think it's also a really good common like weapon to use additionally to the weapons that use weapon swapping really effectively, like bomber or pistol, or yeah, just I mean like nearly all the weapons can weapon swap, like can do some funny things with weapon swapping. Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, I think the baseball bat, I think what's something that you should not underestimate is the range that you have with this thing. Because the range is like actually quite far, I feel like. Yeah, and then something that I like, or like just notice, is that you can basically just let, you don't even have to hit the balls, like the old balls, to lead to them like doing damage. You can basically just place them as mines and let enemies walk into them, and then you're going to get AoE damage, and like enemies can walk repeatedly into it, and then you can just hit the balls that lie around. The thing is, because you can spam this so effectively, you can like keep the balls active for quite a while. And if they just get hit as proximity mines, they're also going to stay up for longer. which is quite nice, just so you know. And that's already it for the bat. And moving on to the last weapon, the engineer. Yeah, it's also not that much there is to know about the engineer. What I think is quite interesting is that you're only having to reload if you let go of the shoot button. So, yeah. Some of you might ask yourself what the shoot button even does. Yeah, and I'm also not 100% sure on this. But what I think it does is that you can basically target enemies. And yeah. You can just... And something that I think is quite interesting is that if you shoot and then weapon swap, then you can like pull out the laser again. So you can just yeah, like redirect the targets faster. But if you want the turrets to shoot out the rockets, then you like have to let go of the button. So yeah, just some nice things to know. And that's already it for this video, as there are not that many more, like there are no more weapons. Yeah. That was like maybe a mechanic that you will never need on every weapon. And yeah, that's it for today's video, and goodbye.